Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have an LDR, long-distance relationships, turned into a no-contact, little turbulence here. This particular individual sent their story in a few times for advice. I haven't completely read this one, so I'm going to unpack it with you. If you have a breakup story you want me to unpack in a YouTube video like this, go to writemac.com. I'll put it right here for you, right here in the little banner. And let's get into it, folks. So, hey, coach, so I've been talking to this girl for 2 years now. We're both 24. However, I live in New York and she lives in Florida. That's pretty far, dude. That being said, there's people that live in different countries, let alone different states, and keep things going. But long distance has a shelf life. So what happens is people are okay with it, they're okay with it, and then someone meets someone else, someone starts to lose interest in the idea that we only talk on the phone, there's not enough intimacy. Relationships are difficult already. Here's the thing, long distance, you need a finish line. We're gonna move in each other's city, town, state within the next year, within the next 6 months. Now, the caveat to that is if you don't do that, then the trust gets lost and there's a disappointment involved and it weakens the long distance. But if you're just gonna keep a long distance relationship going without the idea of ever living in the same town, city, there's probably going to be a point, like I said, there's an expiration date, and you don't know when that expiration date is. Someone just gets sick of the situation, or a lot of times they meet someone else that they might not have necessarily slept with, but they have interest in, they have guilt for that interest, and so they basically move along a breakup. So let's get in to see what happened here. We're both 24, however, so I've been with this girl for 2 years now. We're both 24. However, I live in New York and she lives in Florida, so this is a long distance thing. From the very beginning, she got out of a toxic 6-year relationship, and if you needed to know, she lost attraction for her ex, and they constantly argued, so they broke up. Bottom line is, though, if you're both 24 and this was 6 years ago, this is her first serious love, this probably had a lot of things imprinted on her as what relationships are. Hopefully she saw a therapist if it was quote-unquote toxic, or talked to a coach to at least unpack what was toxic. A lot of times some people, this word toxic is such a general term. I mean, what happened? What were the toxic things? And were you responsible for some of those things? I'm certainly not blaming her, but there's more that meets the eye when someone just says, oh, I was in a toxic relationship. I'm always curious, well, what was your role in that relationship? So when I started talking to her, she told me she does not want a relationship during this time in her life and wants to be independent. So the good thing about that is she's being upfront. She's saying, look, I had a bad relationship. I don't want to get into a new relationship. I want to be independent, but I like you, right? So being upfront, being honest should be valued. I understand, and I was okay with it, and things were really good and intimate, and I flew down to see her every month or so. So I've often said this, if you're going to do long distance, you should see each other at least once a month to once every 6 weeks, and it should be absolute fireworks. It should be, you know, you haven't seen each other in a month, you should not be fighting. You should be happy, ecstatic to see each other if you're going to keep the long distance thing alive. But the past few months, things have slowly changed. She has been more distant. We went from talking on the phone once a day to about 3 times a week. Okay, this is not by accident. Something is going on. And when we were on the phone, things just seemed dry. Exactly my point about long distance. And this is what always happens. Someone's okay with it. They're happy talking once a day. The other person all of a sudden falls off a cliff and just they're tired of it, or they met someone else, okay? I don't want to alarm you of that. Those are the two things, because being in a long-distance relationship is not ideal, okay? It's not ideal, and so it gets old. But there's someone on one end that goes, I'm okay with it, and the other person goes, I'm not, and they're like, when did you change? Seems dry. Even when I see her in person, things seem a bit off, but we're still intimate. Well, at the core of your relationship, it sounds like intimacy was never a problem. And really good long-distance relationships, if there's such a thing, right? Intimacy wins the day because there's so much build up to seeing each other. And like I said, if you don't have intimacy in a long-distance relationship, what are you even doing, right? because like I said, the anticipation, the buildup when you meet up should be fireworks. It should be absolutely outstanding. She says she's been busy and has been depressed from being overwhelmed from her full-time work and studying for a big medical test and balancing social life. Absolutely could be true. Absolutely could be true, right? Job affects you, work affects you, she's doing a lot of things, and you're at the back of the bus, all right? And the fact that you're not present or you're in the same city, it's not convenient. Even if you're in the same time zone, right? So you could talk anytime. Right now, maybe even if you lived close, you would still be at the back of the bus. And so situations like this, where's the finish line? So when the semester ends, are things going to get better? Are things going to get better at her job? Right? So the other part of this, if you've been doing this for a while, this long distance thing, and she's really comfortable with it, does she still want to stay independent? Has she hinted at all to you that it'd be nice if you moved down to Florida, or things would be different if you were closer? These are things you don't want to impose on her, but these are things that if she has mentioned them, how have you treated those conversations? This is something I'd ask in a live coaching session. She's still dry. There's no love. So she has balancing her social life. I understood it, but after a while, things just seem to be getting worse. She's still dry. There's no love and affection like it used to be. So that just means she's probably losing attraction for you. And this could be, she's 24 years old. She's going to school. She has a job. It's timing and circumstances. It's not necessarily personal. A lot of guys get into this thing. They go on YouTube. What did I do wrong? How can I make this right? Sometimes it's just timing and circumstances. And especially with people in their 20s, you're changing. You don't have your career yet. You don't have your money right yet. And so relationships sometimes get put to the back of the bus. Yes, I've said that 3 times. She has been living it up lately, drinking more with her friends. So I'm not sure if someone else is in the picture or not. So I don't want to plant seeds. Absolutely possible. She's not seeing someone, but she's interested in someone. So she's pulling away from you. The other part of this, at 24 years old, she mentioned the social life. If she has a couple friends that are newly single, or a new friend that's single and she's hanging out with that person, a lot of times what will happen is it'll be like, God, I wish I was single, because they're doing single women activities in their early 20s in Florida. It adds up. Environments count. If she's in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, these are places where it's fun to be single. And that's not because you did something wrong or you had a bad conversation. That's because timing and circumstance. She's not ready to be in the relationship you want to be in. And the fact that you're like, I'm okay with the long distance thing the way it is, right? The way we see each other once a month, where it's headed. Well, like I said, usually one person gets tired of it. All right, so lost my place here, which is what I always have done. She pretty much, all right, sorry. I understood it, but while things are getting worse, she's still dry. There's no love and affection like it used to be. She has been living it up lately and drinking more with her friends, so I'm not sure if someone else is in the picture or not. However, we aren't dating, and she can do those things, but I'm not interested in being around for it where we are at right now. Here's the thing. You say that, but you got to be honest with yourself. What do you want? If you like this idea, like, oh, she's going to be there once a month, we have this great intimacy, we have this great connection, but we're both independent. But deep down inside, you're like, I just want it to stay this way. It's not going to stay this way. All right? Neither of you are committing. You're both leaving the door open to meet someone else. Okay? Whether that's planned or not planned. But I could be wrong. And about a year ago, she pretty much said we're single and we could do those things. And I agreed. As of now, I've been contemplating ending things with her because I don't know what else I can do to revive this issue and bring back that attraction to where it once was. Okay, so this is a great point right here. I'm glad you wrote this. Because you think, you're the way you wrote that, I'm doing something wrong. I have power to revive her attraction. Number one, you're in a different state. Okay, so you're far away. Number two, you've agreed that you're both single and you can meet other people. You just don't want to hear about it, right? So the situation is, I don't think you're going to revive attraction anytime in any way easy. I think this has kind of run its course, okay? And I know that's probably what you don't want to hear. On the flip side, the best thing you can do is go into no contact, say this relation, it's not working for me the way it is right now, and move on. If you want to keep it the way it is and be open to it, right, and you're like, I'm all right keeping it the way it is, then deal with the consequences that she's going to see other people and be cold at times, and at any given moment she can meet someone else and be done with you. You're not official. She doesn't owe you anything. She doesn't even owe you loyalty. You've put yourself in this situation. The reality is, be honest with yourself. What do you really want? You want her as a girlfriend? Because the current situation isn't going to last. She's not going to just sit on standby and see you once a month and be loyal too. The whole reason she wants to be independent is to keep her options open, okay? I was never really call her much, and I give her space, which is what I always have done. I was never the one to call her because of priorities I have going on. Point is, I always have her space, give her space, I assume is what you mean. But anyways, my goal is to date her one day, but it doesn't seem like it'll ever head in that direction. So here's your problem. My goal is to date her one day. When is that? There's no finish line here. There's no, like I said, in long distance, it's like I'm going to move to Florida in 3 months and we're going to get a place together. That's a finish line. I'm going to move to Florida. I'm going to get an apartment and we can start seeing each other regularly. That's a finish line. Where is the relationship going to the next plateau, right? Right now you're saying like, oh, one day we'll date, but in the meantime, I'll give her space and we'll kind of see each other. All the while, you really like her, and I kind of think, correct me if I'm wrong, because this changes in the relationship, you like her a little more than she likes you, and it bugs you, and so you're trying to flip the tables on that. But you're not in a good position to do so. And so me giving you like, well, do this, this, and this, and then you'll revive attraction, it's not going to apply, right? If anything might, quote unquote, work, it would be you completely removing your attention from her and her having to deal with not being able to call you as, 3 times a week as it is. Okay, drawing a hard line in, this is not the kind of relationship I want. And I'd add to that, if you confronted her and say, hey, I want to start dating, how are you going to start dating when you live in New York and she lives in Florida? It's a big barrier. Point is, I always have her space, maybe unless I'm actually, all right, so because of that. But anyways, my goal is to date her one day, and that doesn't seem like it'll ever head in that direction because at one point it seemed like it did. Maybe unless I'm actually living in the same state as her. Yes. We talked about it before, but she doesn't want to have an opinion on it or avoids the conversation because she doesn't want me to have the idea that I'm moving down there for her. Completely understandable. So if you were moving down there for a job, fine. But if you're moving down there for her, it creates a lot of weight on the relationship. And she has to want that, right? She wants you to move there. For some reason, this hesitation she has to not encourage you to move down there or want you to move down there, it's not a good thing. It's personally, at 24, she had a 6-year bad relationship. I just think she's not ready. And a lot of women, you'll hear me say this a lot because I see a lot of breakups like this, early 20s, a lot of them can be in a relationship, but they don't want to get married. And so guys look at it like, yeah, like I'm all into her. I want her officially. But a lot of times they're not ready to settle down, especially if they live in an area where it's fun to be single, or they go to university where it's fun to be single, where there's more like-minded people that are single and more options, right? On the flip side, if you stay on the sidelines and are always there as a safety net or life vest for her when she's feeling down, she'll keep you there. But she's not going to commit. She didn't commit from the beginning. It's not what she really wants right now. And so she's not going to encourage you to move down there. And really, I would say to you, don't move down there in the name of saving this relationship or taking a shot. Only move down there if it adds up for other reasons outside of her, such as the job down there is really good and it's a bonus that she lives down there and maybe we can make something of this. Don't put this relationship before that. Does that make sense? which I'm absolutely not moving there for her. I just needed professional coaching advice on what to do. I think about ending things because lately things have been dry. If she showed that same love and affection like it once was, then I would be okay with where we are at, but that's not the case anymore, it seems like. I understand her being busy, but I think there's a difference between being busy and being interested. There is, because individuals that are highly interested, highly in love, have high feelings, are highly attracted, will make time for you. She used to never be busy for me, and when she's not busy, I can tell she doesn't seem as interested in me. Listen, if she's in medical school and she has a full-time job, she probably really is busy, okay? But what she's saying is, think about it like this. Do I want to talk on the phone with you, which we've been doing for years or for a long period of time, and then get intimate with you one time a month, right? Or do I want to go out with my friends with my free time in a social atmosphere in person post-COVID and maybe meet some people in person real time? Think about that for a moment, right? You're not available for that in-person interaction. And it's a disadvantage to you in the relationship. My question would be too, like, are you seeing other people? Because you have the option to, right? Or are you holding space for this individual? I think she used to never be busy for me, and that's what's busy. I can tell she doesn't seem as interested in me. I guess it's because she wants to experience that fun single life. Yes. Yes. Women in their early 20s that live in regions of the world, cities, areas of the world, a lot of times they have a lot of options. If they're attractive, even if they're not attractive, they have more options in their 20s. And they don't look at it like they're going to marry you. And you look at it like, what can I do? What kind of trick can I pull? What kind of game can I pull up? You could probably do a few of those things. She's just not ready to settle down or be the girl you're looking for. And that's okay. Mode for once in her life, since she's always been in a relationship. You hit it on the head, bud. And sometimes people send me stuff. I'm just going to reassure you. I think that's what it is. And you're not going to change that. The only benefit I can think of having her in my life is when I actually move to Florida. I know someone who lives there and someone who I can be intimate with. Well, that's extremely limited belief, because if you can meet one girl over there, you can meet another one. Somewhere, I don't know what area of Florida you're moving to, but there's certain areas. I lived in San Diego for years in my early 20s. Great place to live. A lot of single people. There's 3 or 4 major universities there. So you're moving to a hotbed of women. So you actually be better off going there single. And this comes down to believing in yourself and the fact that you can meet someone equal or higher value. And everyone always gets into this. Oh, I'll never meet another one like her. No, you won't, because fingerprints are different. Human beings' DNA are different. You'll never meet an exact woman like her. But if you had your options open, you moved to Florida with an open mind and you're like, I'm in good shape. I got a good job. I feel good about myself. I understand some things about attraction. Take your chances, right? Go down there with an abundant mindset and say, you know what? I can meet another woman that's equal or higher value. I can meet 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go out on some bad dates, because bad dates lead to good dates. What do I mean by that? A lot of guys, like, when they get single again, they go, damn, like, I got to date again. Oh, this girl wasn't like the girl I dated before. Yeah, you're going to have to go through some ones that don't equal who you were with now. But what I'm getting at is embrace being single again, because this isn't an ideal relationship. And I think if you move down to Florida, right, open up to the idea that you're going to have more options. And by doing so, if she chose to come back and you pulled away and you went into no contact, you're like, I don't like where this is headed. I'm just going to let you go. You can have all the space you want. Sit in it. And you move down there and you do your thing. Maybe down the road, as a bonus, she hits you up. You're in a better place and things will work out. So I hope that helps you. The only benefit I can think of moving back to Florida, right. My question is it possible for me in this situation to stick around in her life, regain the attraction she had for me? Short answer, no. I don't even like this term, stick around in her life. There's nothing committed about that. There's nothing stick around in her life. I mean, you're basically saying that, I mean, how do you want this relationship to transpire? The way things start It's sometimes the way they end. She wanted to be independent in the beginning. She wants to be independent now. And so you sticking around, you're just supporting her being independent while she has someone to be there for and be intimate with her, but you're not going to be the one that she ends up in a long-term relationship with, or she would have already done that. Or is it best to completely move on and do no contact? See, here's the thing. Absolutely, yes, it's best to move on, go into no contact. Here's the hard part. That's a little bit more difficult in the beginning because you're going to miss her, right? It's going to be hard. You like this woman. You're into her. You wouldn't be writing this story out. Here's the thing. Go through it a little bit. Go into no contact and put your best foot forward for you. If you move to Florida, do it because you like Florida. Don't do it for her. I hope that helps you. If you need some more information on this, book a live coaching session.